In this brief movie, I'm going to show you how this experiment will work. In the beginning, you load the page that was sent to you via email in a browser like Chrome, and you want to enter the subject number that was sent to you. I'll enter a 1 here, and enter the password that was sent to you. Okay, so it says that I've logged in. And now in this first experiment, you want to use the mouse here, which is a red square, to select regions that you think are going to be most diagnostic for purposes of identification or exclusion. So we're going to be using, you get up to 8 clicks, and so I might click here, I might click here, I might click here. I don't know, I'm not a fingerprint examiner, so I don't really know what is most diagnostic. But I get 8 of these. On the 8th click, it will disappear, and the next image will show up. And I'll click, I'm just kind of clicking randomly here. Note that it won't let you click on overlapping sections. It's not clicking here even though I'm clicking the mouse. But what I can do is click right next to it if you want to have 2 contiguous regions potentially show up. Okay, so that will continue for 72 trials. And this first part is admittedly a little bit tedious, but it provides the data that we need for the next experiment. And so I'll show you briefly in the next experiment. You'll basically do all 72 trials and then send us an email saying you're finished, and then we'll process the data and produce the images that are necessary for the second experiment. So let me just show you what the second experiment will look like, just so you know kind of what to expect. And it's actually a much more interesting experiment, but it depends critically on where you've clicked in this experiment. So that's why I'm showing you now, so you'll know that even though this clicking part of the experiment is a little bit tedious, it really is important to get the features that you think are going to be useful, because later on you'll wish you had some of the best features available. So here is the actual experiment. Again, I'll type in my user number and password that was emailed to me if I were a subject. Okay, so here's the actual experiment. And what you'll see is a fingerprint on this side, a clear 10 print, and then you'll have a simulated latent print over here. So we've added noise, and here is one of those 8 patches that's shown. And I can choose from my 6 different options down here. I might determine based on this it's a difficult identification or a difficult exclusion. It's just one feature, so I have no idea at this point. Based on this limited information in this single feature, I'm just going to guess, and that's fine. If you still have to guess either identification or exclusion here, so you have to make some kind of decision, but you can acknowledge that it's extremely difficult and probably wouldn't merit an identification or exclusion based on your agency's policy. But nonetheless, I'm going to click one of these 6. I'll click, I don't know, exclusion, because I sure can't make an identification. Once I click that, then I get a second feature here. So now this second feature potentially adds more information, and I can start making some decisions. Maybe based on that, I still don't see much, so I'm going to say exclusion. Now based on this, I don't know, still difficult exclusion. Now maybe I'm thinking, well, this is starting to make sense here. I can sort of see some detail that might be in agreement. I'm going to say it's an identification. I'm not saying I'm going to go to trial on this. I'm just saying that it's possible that this is something that might merit some attention. And then I'll keep going. And now I'm maybe a little bit more confident. I'm not a fingerprint examiner, so I'm just kind of making this up, but maybe I'm a little bit more confident that's an identification, so I'll click moderate identification. And here I'm starting to see that there's a little bit more information, so maybe I'll move to an easy identification, and now I'm pretty confident it's identification. I actually don't know what the right answer is here. I'm just kind of making this up. I'm going to say easy identification. And based on this, then I don't see anything in this feature that would change my mind. And I'm going to click easy identification. Now before I click, I want to point out that even though we've added information each time, it's important to consider this information with respect to the rest of the features. So does this information change how you might view this other information here? So view the print in its totality, even though we've only added this additional feature right here. And so I'm going to click easy identification again, and then it's going to go on to the next trial. Actually, there's nothing there in the next trial, so it's all I can show you. So there'll be more concrete instructions once we get to the second experiment, but this is just an example of how we will use the data from the first experiment, the clicking experiment that we're asking you to do right now.